Chisai desu ne. That's Japanese for that's small, isn't it? And I say that because we're looking at a small model of a small car in real life. The model itself is made by a Japanese company called Doyusha. Doyusha? Doyusha, if you want to look it up. So it came in this blister pack. It came screwed to this base. I took it all off for speed purposes. The Suzuki MR Wagon is a four-seater K car, and K cars are a small segment of cars in Japan for tax reasons. They can only have a 660cc engine and be of certain dimensions. You know, the government's trying to prevent people from driving huge cars because it's a congested place. It's really hard to park a car there. So this MR Wagon first came out in 2001, but this model here is of the second generation that came out in 2006 and was available to 2011. And it does have a 660cc engine, which I believe is a 3-cylinder, and it would be up front, of course. It does actually hold 4 full-size adults, to my understanding, but I'll compare it to some other vehicles in the end so you can see how small it is in real life. In the name MR Wagon, I guess it doesn't mean mid-rear, it means magical relax. So it's a magical car. But for some reason it also says Wit on it, and the listings on eBay say Wit. So I don't know what that really is supposed to mean, but it's called the Wit MR Wagon. So well, if anyone knows, please leave a comment if there's any story behind that name. Okay, let's take a look at the back view here. I think Doyusha did a pretty good job. I mean, it looks pretty much like that photograph, right? The wheels, the lights, everything. And even the license plate has printing on it. I always, complain about TLV and Konami not having anything on the license plate because they're totally blank. But I guess if you go on Wikipedia and you Photoshop out the numbers, that's the only time you would see a totally blank license plate after it's been Photoshopped. So in a way, I guess those brands are realistic for Photoshopped cars. Alright, so I think you've had some time to compare to the photos. Let's take a look at this model here in better light. Alright, so yeah, tiny little wheels, but still, you got air passing between the spokes, so that's pretty cool. You can see 4 lug nuts, pretty neat. The tires have some curvature, they're not slab-sided, so that's nice as well. A little silver on this marker here, some door handles recessed, and then some black paint around the windows. And what's nice is the mirrors actually have silver paint on them, so that's something a lot of other brands skimp out on. What I don't understand is, what is this black thing here? How the black travels down here. I don't know what that is. I think is it an error? I don't see it on the real car, but it's so clean that I don't know if that would be on purpose or not. Mysteries of diecast. This is a really funny looking front end. It looks like Kermit the Frog. Big plastic lights here. Suzuki branding looks good. Groove textures. Nice grill texture here. Just some cast-in fog lights. No additional paint though. Yeah, nothing to complain about there. Some raised black wiper blades. That looks good. Some black around the windshield. This side, any issues? The silver paint's a little better on that side. This one. I don't see any glaring major problems. Looks pretty good actually. I think the rear end looks pretty good here. We got a nice separation of the white and the red. Suzuki badge again looks good. Wit looks good. Wit MR Wagon looks good. Well, I guess that could have been painted better. And then there's a little red here for these reflectors. Ideally it would have been a little bit lower, so a little bit off the mark. Tiny indication of some rear wiper here molded in. Okay, so the roof looks like a little paint bubbling might be starting up. I don't know how old this model is. Nope, doesn't say. But at least we know what the car is, so that thing. I don't even know how this thing is put together. I don't see a screw or a rivet. I think it's kind of snap fit in there. Alright, I see like a tongue going into the casting there. Huh, that's a new one. I've never seen one like this. I think it might be just snapped in. Interesting. Well, that might make wheel swaps easier, although I kind of like these wheels. I think it looks good the way it is. Okay, well, that's well, the interior. Let's take a look here. Nice texture on the seats, a little seatbelt buckle there. Steering wheel looks pretty nice. Center dashboard has some buttons and stuff. Rear seats seem to have some texture as well. On this side here, yeah, it's a better view. I think there's a glove box, or that's the airbag thing. The back seats are really plain. Well, there are some headrests on the back seats. So I guess that's your typical 64 scale interior. It's pretty nice. Kind of wish it was a different color, but I suppose this is a pretty inexpensive car, so maybe some of them do have just plain black interiors. Let's pull up the spin thing here and show you a couple other cars for comparison. So a long time ago I got this other Doyusha, which I have a video on. This is a Daihatsu Tanto Custom. So this is another K-Class car, and so it has the same length. Boy, unfortunately the solar spinner it's not level all the time. Like the pin itself makes the platform tilt at an angle. But here you can see the dimensions are generally the same because they're forced to pretty much maximize the dimensions of the vehicles that Japan allows, so they can have as much interior space as possible. Alright. I like the orange one more. I like the boxy styling of that orange one more. Okay, so Aoshima has a couple plastic like Gashipan K-Class trucks. That's a Suzuki Hustler. That's a funny name if you read magazines. And then this is a Suzuki Jimny. This is, I think, well, I forget what generation Jimny it is. But I have a suspicion these came in like those capsules, those capsule things that you can buy in Japan. It's like a gumball machine with toys in it. But they're pretty good for all plastic models. The only major problem with them are the cloudy windows. But I'm sure these models are super cheap in Japan. I wouldn't be surprised if they're like $2 or something. Alright, let's compare to the normal vehicles, because I think a lot of countries don't have K-Class cars. But they probably have a Suzuki Swift. I think those are sold globally. Granted, this is a race version. It's made by a brand called CM's, and this is a rally version, a 1600cc Swift. But it's much bigger than this K-Class thing. I don't know if you'd call this Wit a van or a car. Okay, you can see how narrow it is. Right? And then my standard reference for vans. He pities the K-Class cars. Moron, I took that thing off. BA Baracus's 18 van here, if you don't know, if you didn't grow up in the 80s. So yeah, you get an understanding. You know, a full-size van versus a K-Class van or a car. Top view, there we go. It's almost as if you could open the doors of BA's van and drive this thing into the back of it. Pretty close. If it wasn't so tall, you could probably do it. Maybe a K-Class car could do it. Okay, well, that's it for size comparisons. So, in summary, I'm pretty happy with it. I enjoy these K-Class vehicles because I didn't grow up seeing these things. It's fun to learn about these other things. And it's a cute little car. I don't know if I'd want to own one. It seems like it would be a death trap, driving something like this on a freeway. But if you're driving in a tight city where you can't go fast, I'm sure it has its advantages. You can park it easier. You can just drive it around tight back roads easier. So, pretty cool. Anyhow, I appreciate you guys chiming in, and we'll see you in the next merry-go-round. Thanks.